Despite what you may think, we don't see rattlesnakes every day. Some summers, we don't see any. In my experience, we see one every other year, so 50% of summers. So one warm day, I'm running in the forest thinking, hey, great rattlesnake weather. How likely is it I'll see one? It's a possibility. What's the probability? If it was 1 chance in 20, that would be 5%. Then rounding a bend, there's a rattler. Cool, I check him out, and on I go. But now I've seen one, and I'm thinking, how likely is it I'll see two? The probability of seeing 2 rattlers would be 5% times 5%. That's 0.25%, 1 in 400. That's if the probabilities are independent. Independent means if I see one, it doesn't change the likelihood of seeing another. But what if the odds are dependent? What if seeing one rattler increases the odds of seeing a second? If it's twice as likely, the 5% would be 10%. That's 5% times 10%, 0.5%. 1 chance in 200. Still not very likely. Later on, I hardly changed my stride as I sailed over rattler number 2. Unlikely, but not impossible. By now, you might be thinking, what does this have to do with me? Well, what if your friend was a rattlesnake? I mean a frenemy. So my son Nico comes home. He's upset. And he tells me his new best friend is clearly a frenemy. 100% certain. Okay, maybe 90% confident, but Nico's convinced. You see, Nico suspected Roger. So Nico asked Roger a question that Nico knew the answer to see if Roger would lie. A true friend wouldn't lie. Roger lied. Case closed. Roger's a frenemy. Decision Dad shared his concern about overconfidence bias and potential miscommunication, so Nico explained his reasoning. Friends would tell the truth 95% of the time. Frenemies, however, would lie 90% of the time. Frenemies aren't that common, but they exist. Maybe 5% of friends are frenemies. And frenemies are dangerous because they know your secrets. So this is useful information worthy of further analysis in Nico's probability tree. We calculated the joint probabilities multiplying through each branch. 95% of the time, we have a friend who tells the truth 95% of the time. And so 90.25% of the time, we have a truth-telling friend. 5% of the time, we have a frenemy who lies 90% of the time. So 4.5% of the time, we experience a lying frenemy. All probabilities sum to 100%. We completely described the possible outcomes. But here's the key question we need to answer. What is the probability a randomly selected individual would lie? To answer it, we need to redraw the tree reversing the events. We already know the joint probabilities because we just calculated them, so we put them in. And we can add them up to find the probability of being in each branch of the tree. Finally, we solve for the probabilities we don't know. If the joint probability of being a truth-telling friend is 90.25, and 90.75% of people are telling the truth, then we divide 90.25 by 90.75, and we see that given someone is telling the truth, the probability is 99.5 that they are our friend. To which Nico says, see, it's virtually certain. I told you that. To which I say, finish this out. What if I told you it's more likely, given that someone lied, that you're talking with a friend? He says, I wouldn't believe you. I say, the numbers don't lie. But sometimes our intuition does, and since we can feel 100% certain and still be wrong, we need to be extra careful. Nico paused and thought and began to reason it out loud. So what you or the numbers are saying is that given that Roger lied, it's still almost equally likely he's a friend or a frenemy? And I said yes, because some friends lie, and there are many more friends than frenemies. So you end up with more friends lying than frenemies. And that's how clear thinking and probability can save friendships or even a life. Now, I wouldn't expect Nico or you to be able to do this without help, but knowing that it can be done is critical. Our intuition can lead us in the wrong direction. The lizard brain doesn't do complex probabilities. We need to educate our intuition and double-check our assumptions. Next time you're 100% sure something is true, think twice. Think, what information do I have and how reliable is it? Think, what information would I like to have and how can I get it? We can become more comfortable being less certain by developing our ability to think straight when it counts.